Your chest actually hurts. Not metaphorically, not poetically. It aches, low and tight, like something got physically removed from your ribcage. You keep checking your phone even though you know they're not texting. You've told yourself 100 times to just get over it, so why can't you? Here's the answer nobody gave you. Your brain never learned the difference between losing a person and losing a limb. To your nervous system, heartbreak isn't sad. It's an injury. Let's rewind to the moment it happened. Maybe it was a text, maybe it was silence where a text used to be. Either way, your body reacted before your mind caught up. Your stomach dropped. Your hands went cold. You felt it in your sternum before you felt it in your thoughts. Then came the loop. You replayed the last conversation, then the one before that. You searched for the exact sentence where it started going wrong, like a detective investigating your own life. You told yourself you'd stop checking their profile. You checked it anyway, not because you wanted to, but because some older, more stubborn part of your brain was still running a search and recover mission, convinced that if it just found the right clue, it could fix this. That's not weakness, that's wiring. For most of human history, being abandoned by your group wasn't an inconvenience, it was a death sentence. No tribe meant no food, no protection, no chance of surviving the night. A human alone on the savannah wasn't independent. It was prey. So evolution did something clever, and honestly, a little cruel. Rather than build a brand new system to punish social loss, it reused an old one that already worked. It hooked social rejection up to the exact same alarm system as physical injury. One system, two triggers, cheap to build, brutally effective, and completely indifferent to the fact that you'd one day be feeling it over someone who left you on read. Which brings us to the science, and to a neuroscientist named Naomi Eisenberger. In the early 2000s, she ran an experiment at UCLA where participants played a simple ball-tossing game inside an fMRI scanner. Nothing dramatic, just a game where, eventually, the other players stopped throwing the ball to them, excluded them, on purpose. The brain scans showed something nobody expected. The same region that lights up when you burn your hand, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, lit up just as brightly when people got left out of a ball game. Your brain does not file heartbreak under emotional. It files it under injury. Same folder as a broken bone. So when you say a breakup physically hurts, you are being medically precise. Congratulations. You're a case study. But rejection is only half the story. The other half is withdrawal, and for that we go to biological anthropologist Helen Fisher. She scanned the brains of people who had just been dumped and were, in her words, still very much in love. What she found looked less like sadness and more like an addict cut off from their supply. The ventral tegmental area, your brain's dopamine engine, stayed fully lit up when participants looked at photos of their ex. So did the nucleus accumbens, the same reward circuitry involved in cocaine cravings. Fisher didn't hesitate to call it what it looked like on the scans. Withdrawal. Your brain isn't just grieving a person. It's going through detox from one. That's why you reread old messages at 1 a.m., not because you're dramatic, because a part of your brain is doing exactly what an addict does when the supply runs out. Searching for one more hit, and there's a third layer under all of this, first mapped out by neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp. He identified a distinct brain circuit he called the panic grief system, a network specifically built to respond to separation from someone you're attached to. Not romantic attachment specifically, any attachment. A parent, a best friend, a person your nervous system had quietly filed under safe. When that person disappears, this circuit fires distress signals almost identical to physical pain and physical panic combined, which is a wildly efficient design if you enjoy suffering. Your ancestors clearly did not have a marketing team, because nobody named this system anything comforting. So here's where most people go wrong, and it's almost everyone. The common fix is distraction. Numb it, stay busy. Rebound, delete, then re-download, then delete again. Treat the ache like something to outrun. But you can't outrun an injury. You can only aggravate it. Think about a sprained ankle. If you ignore it and keep walking on it like nothing happened, you don't heal faster. You make it worse, and you probably start limping in a way that messes up your knee, too. Grief works the same way. Suppress it, distract from it, refuse to feel it, and it doesn't disappear. It just relocates. Into your sleep, into your patience, into the next relationship, where you're suddenly flinching at things that were never actually threats. The fix isn't ignoring the injury. It's treating it like one. So what actually works? 4 things, and none of them are complicated. First, name it as pain, not weakness. Literally say to yourself, this is an injury, not a character flaw. It sounds too simple to matter. It isn't. Studies on affect labeling show that putting a precise, honest name to what you're feeling lowers activity in the same threat response regions Eisenberger studied. Your brain calms down slightly just from being told the truth about what's happening to it, the same way a patient relaxes a little once a doctor finally explains the diagnosis. Second, give it a real timeline instead of an open-ended one. Grief without a container expands to fill infinite space. Grief with even a loose boundary, a few weeks of deliberately lower expectations of yourself, permission to be a little useless at work, a little quieter with friends, starts to feel survivable instead of endless. You're not rushing the healing, you're just refusing to let it become the whole horizon. Third, rebuild your reward circuitry on purpose. Since the ache is partly dopamine withdrawal, you need small, repeated hits of genuine reward that don't come from your ex. Not a party. Small. A workout, a finished task, a meal you actually cooked instead of ordered, a conversation with someone who actually sees you. You're not replacing the person. You're retraining the circuit that got wired to expect them. Fourth, let your attachment system redirect. Don't force it to switch off. Talk to people. Text a friend back, even when you don't feel like it. Let someone else's presence remind your nervous system that connection still exists in the world, even though this particular connection ended. Isolation feels protective. To the panic grief system Panksepp mapped, it reads as confirmation that you really are alone out there, which only turns the alarm up louder. None of these make it stop hurting immediately. They just stop you from making the injury worse while it heals, which, it turns out, is most of the actual work. And here's the mindset shift worth carrying with you. You are not broken because a breakup wrecked you. You are wired correctly. Your brain did exactly what it evolved to do when it lost something it had marked as essential to your survival. The pain isn't proof you're too sensitive. It's proof the attachment was real. Think about that for a second. The people who feel breakups the hardest usually aren't the ones who love the least. They're the ones whose brains built the strongest bond in the first place. That's not a defect in the system. That's the system working exactly as designed. Just at a moment, you'd rather it didn't. So next time your chest tightens over someone who isn't there anymore, don't fight the feeling like it's an overreaction. Treat it like what it is. An injury? Healing on schedule. The only way injuries ever do. Slowly. And only if you stop walking on it. You wouldn't sprint on a torn ligament and call it discipline. Give the ache the same respect. Your chest still hurts. But now you know why. And knowing why changes what you do next. It's not a personal failure. It's not proof you loved wrong. It's biology doing its job a little too well. I'm Sticky Notes. I'll see you in the next one.